Hello, my friends. Welcome back to English Unleashed, the podcast that helps you learn real, practical English and build your confidence step by step. Today, we're talking about one of the most popular techniques for language learning, shadowing. Shadowing is one of the few free and accessible tools that you can use to improve your pronunciation in any language that you're learning. However, it may not be as efficient as a lot of people claim it to be. I said what I said, let's unpack it. First of all, what's shadowing? Shadowing is a kind of exercise, a technique you can use to work on your pronunciation in any language that you're learning. It involves listening to a native speaker on an audio or video and trying to reproduce everything they're saying exactly the same way they are saying it. So you try to mimic their sounds, their intonation, pauses, all that jazz. It's a great tool, don't get me wrong. And if it's the only thing you can do, open a video and start repeating, then do it. It's definitely going to move you forward. But if you want to know how to use this technique in a more efficient way, this episode is for you. I've used shadowing quite a lot for French and English, both on my own when I was shadowing French songs. That's how I started learning French, by the way. And also when I went to linguistic school to study languages in linguistics. And the approaches in these two experiences were not the same. When I was learning on my own, I was mostly listening and trying to repeat. I didn't think hard about different sounds or intonation. I probably didn't even know all these words. I did not think about it. As a result, this exercise helped me to start improving my pronunciation and get into learning French in general, but it also left me frustrated because I still struggled to even differentiate some of the sounds, nasal sounds, vowels in the French language. When I went to linguistic school, we were not allowed to start any shadowing before we learned all the sounds. So what can make your shadowing practice more efficient is that you go into this already having the foundation of sounds of the language you're learning. You can search on Google or YouTube or find language textbooks that explain how to produce sounds, how to move your mouth for every sound in a given language. Especially pay attention to those sounds that you struggle with the most. For example, in French, for a lot of speakers, it's the sound, but also many people struggle with nasal sounds. How are you supposed to do this shadowing thing if you cannot tell apart different nasal sounds? How are you supposed to learn that if your ear is not able to pick up on it, right? So start by learning how to produce the sounds and practicing them one by one, ideally separately at first, and then doing syllable exercises. It's something that can help you a lot later on. For example, if you're learning nasal and in French, then you would go mon. Practice it in a very simple context first. I wish I could tell you it's all easy and takes one day, but it actually doesn't. It can take quite some time. What you can do right now is to write down the sounds that you struggle with the most in the language you're learning and try to find info about these sounds and learn them before you do any shadowing. Then, when you start doing shadowing, pay close attention to those specific sounds. You don't have to do a lot of boring exercises or learn every sound. I know that may not be sustainable for some of us, but what you can do is be very focused and intentional about what you're practicing in a given shadowing session. When we finally started doing shadowing in school, we didn't go to huge texts and YouTube videos right away. We stayed very focused and instead started shadowing dialogues that we had in our book. Each dialogue targeted a specific sound or set of sounds, and that was amazing for practicing those specific sounds I struggled with. I'll try to find that book. I think it's available online. I'll link it if I find it along with the audio files. Check the description below. Instead of trying to do shadowing with as much material as possible, I'd say it's more efficient if you focus on a particular piece, like we did with the dialogues. It's also useful to gradually increase the size of your material. So, as I said, start with the sound before shadowing, then smaller dialogues or texts, and then you can move to poems or audiobook chapters. Don't just listen and repeat the whole book. Focus on one chapter and repeat it. Repetition is very useful here. If you can actually learn the piece you were shadowing, that's even better. Eventually, we started shadowing poems and texts, and that was super useful. First, we would transcribe the whole piece, then read it, then memorize it. That was a very important part of our shadowing practice, and then we repeated it as much as we could. To conclude this, let me bring it all together. To make your shadowing session more efficient, here's what you can do. Number 1, work on the sounds you struggle with most separately before shadowing. Number 2, focus your shadowing on 1 or 2 things you're currently working on. If you struggle with the sound, find a piece with a lot of words and pay attention to it. Number 3, start with a smaller piece and shadow it multiple times. Practice makes perfect. It's less useful to just listen and repeat once and never come back to it. It's better to choose a smaller piece and go over it again and again. It's ideal if you can transcribe it first, that way you can see all of the sounds. But not everyone can or wants to do that, and that's fine. Being more focused and mindful can definitely help you. It also helps if you can learn the text by heart. That way, you can focus entirely on pronunciation without looking at the words. I'm definitely not discouraging you from doing shadowing if you can't do all of this, because shadowing is still a great tool. As I said, it's accessible, it's free, and it's better than nothing. But if you can make your practice a little more mindful, focus on the things you need to improve, and repeat the same piece multiple times, that's going to help your pronunciation so much more. It's all about quality, not quantity. I hope you found this video helpful. Thanks for watching. Tell me in the comments, how often do you do shadowing? Do you find it helpful, or maybe you have your own tips and tricks? If there's one thing you take away from this video, what would it be? Let me know in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next episode of English Unleashed podcast.